So, we're in Edinburgh, the jewel of the north. Behind me is the Scott Monument, a tribute to one of Scott's greats, Sir Walter Scott, the writer and novelist. Down below here is what used to be a lake or a loch. It used to be called the Long Loch. And it was part of the defences for Edinburgh Castle, which is up to my right, my left on the hill. They took it out and became Princes Street Gardens, which is part of this beautiful set of gardens we have today. Behind me to the back is what we call the Old Town of Edinburgh. That dates back to the 11th century. And again, the castle here was the first part of the Old Town. A settlement grew up round about it, and eventually Edinburgh became a growing town. Up behind me here is what we call the New Town. Now this is Georgian, and this developed into what is a bustling shopping area. The noise you can hear is a Waverley train. Waverley Station in Edinburgh is one of the busiest stations in Europe. And over here we can see the National Gallery of Scotland, where some of the great paintings from around the world are kept as treasures. So we're kicking off our whistle-stop tour of Scotland by being here in what is the capital, Edinburgh, on a lovely sunny day. Our next stop is Perth. Incidentally, the word for Perth means oak or forest because it's really right out in the countryside. In fact, Perth calls itself the gateway to the Highlands, and you'll see what I mean when I get there in a short while. But you know, the ancient name for Perth is St. John's Town. And you're right, it's the patron St. John, John the disciple who Jesus loved. It's named after him. Well, we're going to leave now this beautiful city, the capital of Edinburgh, and we're going to take a trek up north. There's going to be mountains and lochs and so much more to see. And again, we're going to weave the gospel into the story as we go along. So we'll catch you later on the road north. I'm standing next to a sculpture by David Annand in the fair city of Perth. Perth is a city of about 50,000 population in central Tay. And the sculpture here is to commemorate a poem by a Mr. David Souter. The poem is one of hope in darkness. It's one of light in misery. And I guess that signifies this type of place. It's a beautiful city, right enveloped in amongst the green forests of Perthshire, Tayside. And as I said earlier when I was in Edinburgh, the patron saint of Perth is John, the friend of Jesus, the one whom Jesus loved. So we're here in Perth, having a break on the way up to Inverness, but we're going to take our time and just relax here, because this sculpture here is very, very important. There is light and darkness. Let me just read some of it to you. Now, it's written in broad Scots, so please excuse. It says, "Nae day sae dark, nae wood sae bare, nae ground sae stour wi' stain, but licht comes through, a sang is there, a glint o' grass is green." It's saying the ground isn't so dark that there's nothing in it. Even in the darkest, dimmest ground, there's still that shoot, that little bit of grass coming through. Isn't that beautiful? And this here is saying that. And it's like that in life. No matter how dark your life may seem at the moment, there's hope. There will always be hope if you know where to look. And of course, the person to look is Jesus Christ. Okay, we're heading up to Inverness now. We'll talk about that when we get there. We're in the town of Aviemore. Aviemore is only about 30 minutes south of Inverness. And Aviemore is famous for one or two things. First of all, it's a ski resort. And the Cairngorm mountain range is just round the corner, with the highest peak being Cairngorm itself. And most people you'll see in Aviemore today are hikers, or they're here to climb the mountains. But you know, the Bible says we're like sheep, and there's lots of sheep round about this place of Aviemore, but I've never seen one quite like this before. The Bible says all we like sheep have gone astray. This sheep is very unusual, okay? But that's the great thing about God. We can all be unusual sheep. different. That's what makes us original. I don't think I'm a pink sheep, but I'm certainly different to other sheep. But I'm okay with that. It's good to be yourself. Okay, so here we are in Inverness, the capital of the Highlands, and it's now officially a city. It has been for some years. And behind me you can see St Andrew's Episcopal Cathedral. I was actually christened in St Mary's, which isn't too far from here, many years ago, as they say. Behind St Andrews, if you look to my right, you'll see the beginning of what we know as the Ness Islands, which is a park. And it's lots of little islands with tiny little footbridges. It's a lovely place to walk in the evening. Inverness is a city. It's probably one of the most beautiful cities in Scotland. Although Edinburgh would rank as the #1 tourist, Inverness would certainly have it for tranquility, for beauty, and for serenity. A few miles to the bridge that leads us to the island of Skye, there is Eilean Donan Castle, and you can see behind me here. Today it's owned by the National Trust. It's changed hands several years. Through the generations it's been used as a fortress, it's been used as a jail, it's been used as a place of safety. Proverbs 18:11 says, "The name of the Lord is a high tower. The righteous run into it and are saved." Well, we made it to Skye, and behind me is part of the beautiful Coolin mountain range. And already the clouds are coming down right above me. That tells me by the time I get down to the main road, about 9 miles over to my right, the rain is going to be coming down, which tells us it's time to get back on the main road and head down for the beautiful town of Fort William. The island of Skye is a natural nature reserve. It's totally unpolluted by most of the human race. You'll see more cows and sheep than people, and you'll see more cars than buildings. People come here to get away from everything. We came here to escape the busyness of life. And it certainly is peaceful. There's a little waterfall up there called the Fairy Pools, and if I had the energy and I was without my 6-year-old daughter, which I never want to be, we would go up there for a walk. And again, it's just nature at its most beautiful. And Bonnie Prince Charlie escaped this island. I don't know how long he stayed here, but he stayed here before catching a boat to a few islands, eventually on to Italy. Well, we're not going to go to Italy, but the next stop for us is Fort William, to see more of God's amazing nature. Camera Hashi. The plan at Fort William was to take the cable car up to Ben Nevis, the highest mountain in the United Kingdom. Jasmine wasn't too keen about the idea. Number one, it was raining, and number two, as she says, when you come from China, you've seen one mountain, you've seen them all. Well, perhaps not. One of the Psalms, I think it's Psalm 139, says, if you know, where do I go to find you, Lord? If I go to the depths of the ocean, you're there. If I climb to the highest heights, you're there. No matter where I go, I can never escape from you, Lord. And whether it's the top of a mountain, whether it's the top of Ben Nevis, or whether it's this beautiful valley that we find ourselves in, driving down from Fort William down to the border region where we'll spend the night, God is all around us. The beauty of his nature is all around us. And you know, no matter what you're going through right now, God is nearby. God is close. God is all around. You don't have to search for him. He'll find you. And so this is where it started, really. A few days ago we crossed the border into beautiful Bonnie, Scotland. And in that time we've gone up to Edinburgh. We've looked at the mountains in Aviemore. We've looked at amazing Inverness with its lochs. And we've seen the big mountain Ben Nevis itself before coming back down. And here we are, about to travel over the hills and back into the lowlands of England. What have we learnt on our journey? Rest is wonderful. You know, if you're stressing over something, get away. If you feel things getting on top of you, get away for a few days and have a look at God's natural beauty. You don't have to pay for it. Have a look at what God has provided in the hills and the lakes and the mountains. Breathe in the fresh air of nature. And I'll tell you something, even the toughest atheist would struggle to disbelieve in a God who has created all this. So you're feeling stressful, lift yourself above it. Get some space and do what we did. Take a few days seeing how wonderful this place is.